Abora Boy. This is Olu Fakola Day of Idin Ifa Temple. Thank you, and we welcome you. Welcome all those who are joining us from Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, all of those things. So we thank you all for joining us. This is our Ile Juba Ifa Temple service. We do this every first and third Sunday of the month. So this month we've had some adjustments, but regardless, we're doing this to support all of our journeys in African spirituality, particularly from. So before we begin, we always like to begin with prayer. So why don't we get close to our shrines and pray? Olodumare, Mojuba Oloru, Mojuba Leda, Mojuba Loro Mari, Mojuba Bobo Romele, Mojuba Bobo Ibale, Mojuba Bobo Ibumbili to the Mari, Mojuba to my ancestors, Mojuba Miss, Mother Delu to the Son, Mojuba Darthon, Mojuba Baser, Senior Mojuba Fidel, Mojuba Fidel, Prophet, Mojuba Dali, Mojuba Zion, Mojuba Nava, Mojuba Kapam, Mojuba Kapawakas, Mojuba Jinid, Mojuba Katie Valley, Mojuba Valley, Mojuba Jinzo Lakes, Mojuba Benino Chini, Wanzo no Black Ardena, Sinzo, Mojuba Bobo Ebon, Add your Ogbe. He hears people please and self please. He hears people please and food please. He talks please and sugar to talk completely absorbed. He hears people please, self please, name V5. He hears people please and food please, name Shodar. He talks people and sugar talk completely absorbs the neighbor Shanga. Or Shanga, you the person most can be. Person most one cannot fall from person. Strike frogs and some rainfall. Bull frogs and some downpour. It is whatever the Akiraju Kuno. True tells us or they accept. Whatever the big rat tells us or they accept. All what I tell you, Father, please accept them and approve them. I share or to show gratitude upon gratitude, all our gratitude, to display benevolence upon benevolence, to the all of our benevolence. Whoever's not show gratitude for yesterday's benevolence, such a person I'll see today's gratuity. These are declarations to the 401 in Rumale. We're going to Mayo Poe, out of East Fuji. These are also declarations to Orumila. We're going to Mayo Poe, out of East Fuji. I'm grateful. I shall receive today's gratuity. Or true, we're very grateful. I share. Ifa, we're very grateful today. Àwa dúpẹ́, àwa búre, àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre, àdúpẹ́ àná àwa búre, oníbò Olódùmarè, àwa dúpẹ́, àwa búre, àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre. Adúpẹ́ àná àwòbore tùnẹ́bò ọ̀ríyàní. Àwa dúpẹ́, àwa bore. Àwa dúpẹ́ àwa bore. Adúpẹ́ àná àwòbore tùnẹ́bò irúnmọlẹ̀. Àwa dúpẹ́, àwa bore. Àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre, àdúpẹ́ àná àwa búre tùnẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́gùn lọ́rìṣà. Olódùmarè and the divinities, we thank you for life, health, strength, food, clothing, and shelter. We thank you for providing us with all of the things that we have received this day. We ask that you will continue to support us. We ask for forgiveness on the Odui fire, roast on add to pounded yam without soup can be very difficult to consume. These are decorations we thought to the child of our bunny ragoon. He is full of God's character, he's bad attitudes that prevented him from into God's domain. Now come to solicit on behalf of Tutu, come to beg on behalf of Tutu. How many children does Ifa have that he would cast one out? Those who beg on behalf of Tutu. Ifa, we ask for your forgiveness today. Olódùmarè, we ask for your forgiveness. Ifa, we ask that you would ward off all death, ward off all sickness, ward off cases, controversy, ward off fights, litigation, losses in our advice, ward off witchcraft and negative energy from us and bring forth to us long life, wealth, good spouse, good children, longevity, prosperity, victory over adversity. Ifa, we call on the Holy Odu Ogbe Alara. Arumla says time to sleep. I echo it is time to sleep when the day dawned. I met Arumla in the 16th room, where he covered his head with a flowing gown full of lice. He was wearing a dress full of bloodstains. He was snoring heavily. They told him that a delegate from his disciple arrived. Aruna inquired what the delegate had brought. They told him they brought 2 rats swift and running, 2 fish graceful swimming, 2 birds swift in flight, and 2 goats with big livers. Aruna said, "That's not enough to wake him up. I admit my ignorance. Please educate me." Motunakaraba. I hide myself in your bosom and survive. Motunakaraba. The dog kangas greater be Sagbadron repeatedly. The dog kangas greater be Sagbadron repeatedly to perform rituals because the children. You are the leaders. We are the followers. Leaders are the ones who show the followers wisdom. Aruna told them to get alligator pepper, to get cola nut, to get bitter corn, to get alcohol. The capo got the alligator pepper, he got the cola nut, got the bitter corn, and he got the alcohol. That is right. Now that he is fully awake. Arumila. When you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes of compassion. It is with eyes of compassion that the heavenly stars use and look at the stars below. Arumila. When you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes of help 1, 2. Secure great wealth. There's such good eyes that the heavenly stars use and look at the stars below. Orumila, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes which help 1, 2. Secure a good spouse. There's such good eyes that my spouse should use and look at me with. Orumila, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes which help 1, 2. Very many children and such good eyes a child should use in looking at a well-decorated plate before long, not too far, join us in the midst of all evil in life. Ashe, Ifa, come and support us. Ifa, we invoke your spirit, asking you to continue to ward off all death, ward off all sickness, ward off all cases, controversy, ward off fights, ward off litigation, losses in our fights, ward off all negativity from us and bring forth to us long life, wealth, good spouse, good children, longevity, prosperity, victory over adversity. Give us all the good things of life. Ifa, we ask that you would allow us to hear a word of Ifa from you. Moving my ego out of the way so that we can hear from Ifa. Emma kami mena mo, Emma kami mena no, Emma kami mena deloku. Itamule tori Ifa aloni mi, Ebora timpanini. Inibana mi, ati Ifa lelejo. Oroshe aruela. Tiny other feet of Tuba, the stripe of a Kumeyan is not big enough to use its headgear. Had it been enough to use its headgear, I would have taken it home and adorned my head with it. Easy 5 decorations to Aruela. I'm going spiritual mission to Jebulin. We can't look at this ceremony. Corn sauce and make a rich corn Aruela with respect in a Jebulin. Oshi Aruela is a gawo. Oshi Tra. I kick in Bagisa, the abstract sharp against the tree taffy far for Rumula when he speaks Iba and Ashe from all of the mind. If in a world tells you you should be wealthy, you should surely be wealthy. I kick in Bagisa in the mouth of an wolf, Zibana Ashe in the mouth of an wolf. If in a world tells you have joy, you should surely have joy. I kick in Bagisa in the mouth of an wolf, Zibana Ashe in the mouth of an wolf. If in a world tells you have victory, you surely victory. I kick in Bagisa in the mouth of an wolf, Zibana Ashe in the mouth of an wolf. Essie. Maybe so, surely shall it be. Ashe orisha lẹ́nu mi o, Ashe orisha lẹ́nu mi. Ohun tí mo bá màmá wí o, ìwọ mọ̀lẹ́ ó bà. Ifá ọba o, Ashe orisha lẹ́nu mi. Ashe, those of you who know the song. Bímọ dúró tí mo súre, bímọ pẹ̀rẹ̀ tí mo súre. Bímọ kúnlẹ̀ tí mo súre, bímọ jọ̀kọ́ tí mo súre, ire tí mo sú orí ti bọ́. Now, put your hands on your heads. We're going to invoke our Ori. Ori ẹni làrúrẹ̀ ìyẹni o, Ori ẹni làrúrẹ̀ ìyẹni. Mojúlọ mi ò fà wá mọ́rí, Ori ẹni làrúrẹ̀ ìyẹni. Àṣẹ o. Obrechasu, Ifá ọba Ọlọ́run, Àtìbàjájú, Ifá ọba Ọlọ́run, ó ṣe àrò ìlà Ifá ti bọ́. Olodumare and the divinities, we thank you for life, health, food, clothing, shelter. We thank you for our children. We thank you for our spouses. We thank you for our homes. We thank you for all the wonderful things that you have provided for us. We ask that you will continue to push away negativity and bring forth healing and joy and victory for us. Help us to find, follow, and fulfill our destiny. Aboru, Aboye, Aboshishe. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining us today. Once again, I'm Oluwafakola Dev Idin Kai Fatempo, and I welcome you. Ekaro, Ekabo, thank you for tapping in with us this early in the morning. We really value your presence. We want to ask you, those of you who are watching at this time, let others know, like and share, and also send us a shout out through the chat on the various social media platforms that we are on. Today we're on TikTok, YouTube, of course, Facebook, and Instagram. So please like and share. We have a very valuable message for today. So without any further discussion, let us get into the process of what we are discussing today. So today we will be discussing sacrifice. But I want to talk about it in a very broad sense. I want to discuss it from the perspective of not just an Ifa follower, but in the process of humanity, being a human, right? In a very broad and general sense of sacrifice in a way that everyone can identify with. So we're not just going to talk about taking the animal sacrifice or the money or whatever. We're going to talk about it in a very practical, pragmatic way that hopefully everyone will be able to identify with. So, what is sacrifice? So, I looked the definition of sacrifice up, and sacrifice, in essence, is an act of giving up something valued for the sake of something else regarded as more important or worthy. All right. Sacrifice is also the surrendering of a possession as an offering to a god or to a divinity. In this sense, sacrifice is a loss, right? So we are taking a loss. Sometimes people say, I had to sacrifice this. I sacrificed myself. I sacrificed. So, in essence, sacrifice is a loss of sorts. Loss is essentially defined as the state of feeling of grief when deprived of someone or something of value. The same word we've heard, value, value. We heard value in terms of sacrifice, something that you value, that you gave up, right? Something of value, when it is removed from you, we are taking a loss. And essentially, that is a sacrifice of sorts. Hence the phrase, I took a L, or hold this L, or I took a loss. Anybody out there lost someone or something? Any of you all ever took an L? Some of us are experiencing major L's right now. Loss of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of a court case, loss of a relationship, loss of money, loss of opportunity. Many of us in our journey to our destiny have found ourselves looking face to face with losses. Sometimes our faith is even challenged because of these losses, and we begin to ask ourselves, where is God when I am losing? So this sermon is not for everybody, as all these sermons are, not named for everybody. So this sermon today is for the losers. Some of us have lost so much that we ourselves have become the sacrifices for our own life. Some of our ancestors were the sacrifices for the life that we live right now. We are the product of Big Mama's prayers and Muddeer's prayers. Some of this is the sum total of the losses accrued by those who came before us, right? So this sermon today is for the divine losers. For my father worked a 9 to 5, so our family who didn't have to live off my mother's salary. My father who carried himself home every night. For parents who were there so that they could raise their children. For married couples who stayed together and are staying together. I salute your losses. I salute your sacrifices, because your sacrifices are not in vain. It is a struggle to work through problems. It is a challenge to apologize. It takes sacrifice to admit that you are wrong. The fact that we all make sacrifices, whether it is our ego or it is our ego, we are taking L's. We are taking losses. We just need to pray that the losses we take are for the greater good. So let's look at what Ifa has to say. Ifa says in the Odu Ifa Ogbeshe, the suffering of an awo is not forever. The poverty of an awo shall soon turn to prosperity. Before too long, we shall recline in comfort and laugh over this matter. We shall spread our two legs while sitting. These were Ifa's declarations to Obatala or Shanla or Shere Magbo when going to buy a cripple as his first indentured servant. He was advised to offer sacrifice. He complied. Now, the servant that I have purchased is a nice servant. The servant that I have purchased is making me money. The servant that I have brought me prosperity. The servant that I have is a nice servant. So this is a very interesting story. In this story, essentially, Obatala, the great Irumole, he was going to purchase the debt of a person who would assist him on his land in terms of clearing the land and building things and taking care of odd jobs on his land. So before he went into the venture of procuring a servant, Obatala went for Ifa consultation, and he was told that he needed to offer a bow, and also that the first servant that he saw was the one that he needed to be picking. That would be the best one for him. And after that, the Babalawo also told Obatala that this journey, this process of procuring a servant, it was going to be challenging during the initial stages. It was going to be filled with obstacles and challenges, but ultimately Obatala would become great and become a very wealthy and successful Irumole as a result. So he offered his abo and he went to the market. When Obatala got to the market, he saw the first servant, and that first servant was a guy laying down. And Obatala then said, Ifa says that's the one. He procured that servant, and lo and behold, the man that he picked as his servant, the individual who he bought the debt of, was a cripple. And this man couldn't walk. So Obatala had to carry his servant on his back home. And on the way, he was kind of regretting it. Like, man, what in the world have I gotten myself into? How is this? Like, I need the land cleared. I need these leaves raked up. I need herbs to get picked. I need all these things done. So Obatala essentially was not very enthused about having a cripple as his servant. So by the time he got him home, Obatala essentially was doing all the chores. Obatala was doing all the work, all the heavy lifting. He was taking care, even his servant. He was the one who would prepare breakfast. He was the one who would get all the things together and even rake the leaves. And ultimately, his servant became his trusted companion and even his best friend. They shared almost everything. Soon after this, his servant, the cripple, asked Obatala, look, let me repay you. Find me a space on your land and I will do the work. And Obatala was very reluctant because, one, this servant was his trusted companion and best friend. And two, this cripple, he was worried because he couldn't walk. He was not mobile. He wasn't ambulatory. And Obatala was like, man, how's he going to fare out there with the wild animals and all the crazy stuff? So reluctantly, he set up a space for his servant. And not very long after, his servant called him and said, hey, Obatala, I got something for you. And he had made this crown out of the red feathers of the African gray parrot, which is a very auspicious bird. It talks very well and so on. And he gave Obatala this crown, and Obatala was like, what? How did you get these feathers? It turns out that this cripple was indeed an expert bird catcher. So when Obatala went into town, Oshun saw the crown and wanted one, and Shango saw the crown and wanted one. And Ogun saw the crown and he wanted one too. And then they began to come and pay for their crowns from Obatala's servant. And this was the way that Obatala and his servant became wealthy. So Obatala made sacrifice, and Obatala still took a loss. Obatala took major losses, and eventually those losses that he took directly paid off into major wins. So when we think of this process of losing to win, it is a delayed gratification process. Let's look at the Odu Ifa Ogunda Meji. Ifa says, a stone hit a tree and returned to hit the thrower. This was Ifa's declaration to Onireshele and also to Onireshe Oko when they were advised to offer Ebo to beget their own children. Only Onireshe Oko complied with the advice. Now, Onireshe, here comes all the blessings of life. Oko Onireshe, here comes all blessings. Onireshe, children are beauty. Oko Onireshe, children are one's beauty. Owners of the world, children are beauty. Oko Onireshe, children are truly one's beauty. So there were two kings, Onireshe Le Onireshe Oko, and they're they both claimed lineage to Ife. And one day, both of them went for Ifa consultation to see how successfully they would fare as being king in their respective areas. Both were told that they would be very successful as long as they made marriage and fatherhood a priority in their lives. They're advised not to be promiscuous and not to be with too many women. Too many women would be problematic for their lineage. They were also told that they were to have as many children as possible and make sure that they raised these children very, very well. These children were to be raised so that they would carry on the legacy of greatness of their fathers. So both kings were advised to offer Ebo. Onireshele felt like sacrifice was unnecessary, and he felt that there was no need to have children. Onireshe Ile felt that child raising and rearing would be uncomfortable for him. It would also be expensive, and it would lead him to poverty. Onireshele liked to have the finer things of life. He liked to have fancy jewelry and fine clothes, while Onireshe Oko He complied with the Ebo, with the sacrifice. He found a good spouse and he married her. And with his wife, Onirisheoko, gave birth to many, he and his wife gave birth to many children. He preoccupied himself with raising and rearing his children. His family, his marriage, his children, they were the things that came first. Onirisheoko, as a result, he lacked the money because he invested in his family. So he didn't have monetary, material wealth all the time because he invested in his children. He invested in his wife. He did not have the most up to date clothes. He did not have jewelry. He did not have fine cars, horses. Oftentimes, he wore clothes that had holes because he made the sacrifice for family. And every year, the kingdoms of Oniresheile and Oniresheoko would gather for their festival. Each year, Oniresheoko was the subject of ridicule and jokes. People would say that, he had too many kids. Oniresheoko would be laughed at, and they said that he had too many kids, and his kids were the reason why he was poor. He would respond that when his children reached maturity, that they would be on their own and his poverty would disappear. Oniresheile, on the other hand, he would come to the festivals in the latest clothes, right? He would come with the jewelry. He would come shining. And he would humiliate all the other Obas. He would sing songs of ridicule to them. He would sing and he would say things like, I dress like the clothes that I have makes me beautiful, right? He represented the idea of appearance over purpose. Over the years, both of the Obas began to get older. And their strength began to wane and they grew weaker. Oniresheile could not get all the finer things of his life. And he was simply too old to go out and get those things. Oniresheoko began to get older and weaker, but his children also matured. All his children were raised well, so what ended up happening? All of his kids went into great jobs. They formed their own businesses, and eventually the children of Oniresheoko became gainfully employed. His children then took care of him. And in his older years, Oniresheoko would be dressed in the finest clothes. His children made sure he had the best jewelry and the most expensive ways to get around town because he was their father. Years later, when it came time for the annual festival, Oniresheoko wanted to make it an incredible event. And his children made it an incredible event for their father. They put a crown on his head and they dressed him well. And everyone cheered for him. And everyone began to look at Oniresheile as if, what have you been doing with your time? So that is why this Ifa says one's children are one's beauty. One's children are one's success. So let's delve deeper. The process of having and raising children requires losses. Like, you're going to take some losses if you have kids. My wife literally breastfed for 3.5 years straight. Do you know what type of sacrifice that is? You can't eat certain things. You can't drink certain things. We had 2 sons back to back. You talk about sacrifice. But there is a blessing in the burden of childbirth. There's a blessing in the burden of child rearing. the joy that our children bring us and our family is immeasurable. This Ifa Ogundameji tells us that there is a blessing in the burden of childbearing and rearing. Your children are your beauty. They are your mirror, your true mirror. Sacrifice is the process of raising your children correctly. That might mean you try to work it out with your husband or wife. If you have a disagreement in front of your children, you try to work it out in front of your children. If you and the other parent are not together, then you co-parent ethically. All of this takes sacrifice. It takes sacrifice not to cuss somebody out sometimes. Taking your child to a baseball practice or going to a game, paying for uniforms, taking them to school, being involved in PTA and homeschool education. This is all sacrifice. It is all ebo. Parenting is sacrifice, especially when done correctly. The payoff is the manifestation of your child's destiny. In the Odu Ifa Ogbeunle, Ifa sums it up by saying, when one's Ifa is about to bless one, it will first make one go through tribulations. This was Ifa's declaration for Orisegi when going to Onijumo's house to purchase liquor on credit. He was advised to offer Ebo. He complied. Orisegi, the resident, I will ask for Onijumu, cast Ifa for Onijumu when she was weeping in lamentation of her inability to give birth to a child. She was advised to offer Ebo and complied. Before long, not too far, join us in the midst of Ire. Join us in the midst of happiness. Come and see all Ire of life. So this Ifa, let's repeat the first line. When one's Ifa is about to bless one, it will make one go through tribulations. That says it all. Sometimes you gotta go through it in order to show your worth. Your faith, your tenacity. Sometimes you gotta work for it. Sometimes you gotta earn it. And the process of getting to your destination is the focus. And that focus happens even when it don't look like your work is working. It doesn't look like your work is having an effect. The sacrifice is the fact that you must keep going. It is like that meme where there were two men digging. And as they were digging, they show one guy, he's one strike of the pickaxe away from diamonds and riches. And the other guy is focused and he is continuing on. Life is like this. Just before you receive your big payoff, you will be challenged. Just before actualizing your destiny, your job might call just to tell you that they phased out your position. That's loss. Just before actualizing your destiny, you might have to file bankruptcy a couple of times. That's loss. Just before actualizing your destiny, your spouse might leave you. Your loved one might die. On the way to destiny, you might get a bad health diagnosis. All of these are losses in some form, but you are going to have to go through it. You cannot stop there. That is not the end of the story. Ifa says that's not the end. That's just a comma. It's not a period. Keep going. I know it's hard. Keep going. Just as that verse of Ifa says, when you are about to be blessed, there will be challenges. There will be issues. And those issues are the things that measure your character, because you might not even be able to handle it if you got it so easy. In closing, let's look at the Odu Ifa Oshe Meji. Ifa says the smartness of a longo bird, the agility of a power partridge. These Ifa's messages to Orunmila when going to take on wrestling as a profession. He was advised to offer Ebo. He complied. The smartness of Olongo. Olongo is really smart. Edu needs not engage in physical combat. Sheshe Olongo. If you throw Ifa, you will offer rat. Sheshe Olongo. Olongo Sheshe. Edu needs no need to engage in physical combat. Sheshe Olongo. If you consult Ifa, you shall offer fish. Olongo Sheshe. Edu needs not engage in physical fight. Sheshe Olongo. If you consult Ifa, you shall offer birds. Sheshe Olongo. Olongo Sheshe. Edu needs not engage in any fight. Sheshe Olongo. If you consult Ifa, you will offer beasts. Sheshe Olongo. Olongo Sheshe. Edu needs not engage in any form of physical combat. Sheshe Olongo. This is a very powerful Ifa verse. In this Ifa, Orunmila literally had to lose in order to win. Here's the story in a nutshell. Orunmila was a wrestler, and Orunmila had various mechanisms, various means of flipping his opponent on their back and putting them into a submission hold. And Orunmila essentially was the heavyweight champion of the world at this time. And when he won all of these fights, Orunmila, as a result, he got a leopard skin and some trophies. He went back home and his wife couldn't eat. He went back home, his children couldn't eat. They can't eat a leopard skin and some trophies. And this is what his wife told him. We can't eat this. Right? We're starving, but you are the champion of the world. In a sense, Orunmila was winning but losing. He went for Ifa consultation and they told him, the Babalao said, in order for you to be successful, you must get thrown, right? And this is a play on words of da fa. You got to get thrown to the ground. Throw, Ifa, like da fa, you throw the opoile. You beat the ikin. They said, you have to do that in order to be successful. And Orunmila did this. He went back to those other wrestlers and he began to dafa. And as he dafa'd, they offered rats, they offered fish, they gave him money. And this is how Orunmila became successful. Because he threw the fight. He threw Ifa. He beat the Ikin. That is how he became successful. In essence, when we talk of this throwing the fight, it's, I lost on purpose, right? It is losing the fight. But when he was losing, he was actually winning. Ifa is very powerful because when Orunmila was winning by the world's standards, he was losing by the standards of his destiny. In closing, in this life, when we are struggling to manifest our dreams, when we're struggling to manifest our destiny, Eshu, Odara is the divinity that comes and asks us the question, have you made Ebo? He essentially asks us, have you taken any losses? How many losses have you taken to account for these gains? It takes losses to gain muscle. It takes repetition and tearing the muscle in order for it to heal and rebuild. Have you taken any losses? Are you sore? You can't get any gains if your body is not sore, right? You can't lose weight unless you have a calorie deficit. I'm on this workout journey right now, so pardon my metaphors, but it makes sense, right? This aspect of working for it and earning it. But Eshu is always going to be there saying, have you worked for it? Have you put in the time? Have you taken any losses? For it is the losses that build us. Success is nothing without sacrifice. You can't succeed if you didn't sacrifice, right? You know, there's a song that talks about, you know, you weren't there when I was shooting in the gym. You weren't there when I was making those sacrifices. So how can you be on this end receiving the dividend of the work that I put in on the back end? When we do not offer ebo, we then become the ebo. I might need to repeat that. When we do not offer ebo, we then become the ebo. We make ebo as a means of controlling the losses. Without ebo and sacrifice, we will suffer essentially until we feel that obligation. These losses as well, these losses in a real broad sense, in the big sense, let's look at it like this. The losses aren't losses. The losses are lessons. They are the building blocks that will make us great. In the middle of losses, we cannot focus on the grief of what we lost. We must focus on the gift. Where is the gift in the grief? Where is the gain in the loss, right? It may be buried in manure, but these losses are actually fertilizer, and they will nourish our future. Aboru, Aboye, Aboshishe. Thank you for joining us again. Those of you who have tapped in, let me shout out people who have joined us. Let me go here to the side. All right. Thank you so much. Ashe Malachi, thank you for joining us. Oh, that's my wife, Taylor, I think. Taylor Gentry. Yes. Ed Cairo, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. All right. All right, Woody Wolf. Thank you all so much for joining us. Okay, you know, rest in power to your mom, Ashe. Boy, Abo Shishe, good to see you. Thank you so much. That's Ariana. Good to see you, yeah. All right. Oh, what's up, Timmy Leke? Ashe. Yes, parenting is sacrifice. Shoot, it's all sacrifice. You know, parenting, marriage, it is sacrifice. It is the sacrifice. Oh, that's Maisha. Good to see you, Abo Shisha Boto. That is the only way you're going to be successful at it, right? The only way. All right. Okay, Ashe. Yes. All right, bars. Yes. We're trying to put the Babalao bars up. Put the Babalao bars up as a hashtag, y'all. All right. So we have a couple of announcements, things that we want to talk about. So, one, for those of you, please be in prayer for the families in our temple so that the families begin to grow. Say prayers for our families, say prayers for the other families that are here. I want to put out prayer requests for our sister Tanda Sizwe Shamaringa, who she is recovering right now from some health challenges. So we want to say prayers for Tanda Sizwe out there. Also for I'm going to say my aunt and uncle and my family. We, as I said before, we lost our cousin. And we're just praying for our family through that process as well. That was where we were on the first Sunday of this month, is celebrating my cousin Pat's life. So those of you also, along with this, those of you who would like to participate in our Omo Awo program, as I said before, we're starting a new cohort next month. So those of you who would like to be a part of that, please contact me. And also, if you're in the Atlanta, McDonough, Georgia area, we have a temple here, and we're doing Ifa, Isheshe Ifa. And if you're interested in learning more, please communicate with us, and we will support you in manifesting your destiny, and also opening up your gifts in a healthy, healing, and ethical way. All right, so the new shrine room is almost finished, so you can come tap in with us. Also, next month on the 2nd of November, I'm going to be putting out a flyer. We're going to have, it'll be my Odun Ifa. So please come and celebrate Ifa with me. All right, we thank you so much. So let us end with prayer. Olodumare, we thank you for life, health, strength, food, clothing, and shelter. We thank you for all the blessings that you have provided us. We ask at this time that you would continue to ward off all death, ward off all sickness, ward off cases, controversy, ward off fights, litigation, losses in our lives. Energize us and support us for the coming week. Help us to be elevated. Help us to truly see our destiny. And when we look at the losses that we've taken, help those losses to be only in the shadow of the gains, only in the shadow of the great things that we've seen and accomplished. We also ask that you would help us to be conscientious about offering our Ebo, so that we can bring our dreams into manifestation. Energize us for this week and this month to come. Thank you. Aboru, Aboye, Aboshishe, Agboto. Thank you all. And have you ever felt like your life has a greater purpose? Well, I discovered that purpose when Ifa called me. Today, I want to tell you how Ifa has led me to where I am. First of all, Aboraboy, I am Oluo Fakolade of Idinka Ifa Temple. I am a Babalawo and an Omo Awo of Ifa. I came into Ifa as a result of my ancestors. My ancestors literally called me to Ifa. For many years, I had been involved in the Pan-African Association of America. And in terms of this process, I was looking for ways to connect with my ancestors and reconnect with my path and purpose beyond the breach of colonialism and invasion. I wanted to connect with my ancestors within America and beyond and before the transatlantic slave trade. I asked myself, what were we doing before colonialism and enslavement? And my ancestors responded with this. They spoke to me in the church. They spoke to me in college. They spoke to me through my family. They called me. My blood brought me to Ifa. Ifa is so beautiful, so powerful, so meaningful. Ifa is not just raw naked power. It is a relationship with nature. It is a connection with the cosmos, a connection with the universe, if you will. I often share with my clients that Ifa works in two ways. One, history repeats itself. Simply put, if the challenge that you are experiencing happened to you, also happened to someone 10,000 years ago, the same way that person solved it 10,000 years ago is the same way you will solve it now. Two, the principle of substitution. If a problem is coming to you, then there is a way to use natural elements to substitute you for that problematic experience. We can use cloth, animals, food items, and other things to substitute for your immediate suffering and even soften the impact of the blow. The Orisha, the Irumole, and Ifa are not only primordial beings, they are also aspects of nature that remind us that divinity is everywhere. God exists in the fiber of the being of these cosmos. The river, as epitomized by Oshun, it is divine because it is the source of our drinking water. Every great civilization located itself around water. So to pollute the water means that we are polluting ourselves. Divinity is all around us. My temple, Idinka, has recently moved from the hustle and bustle of the city of Los Angeles, California, to the rural area of McDonough, Georgia. We now have 18 acres of land, which we're clearing and developing. We have a garden, we have a pond, we have a farm, we have a creek, we have many hiking trails and many natural elements. Why did I move here? Why did I create this temple here? Well, I moved my whole family here to be closer to our southern ancestral origins. I also moved here as a means of communing and reconnecting with Ifa in a more natural and essential way. Essentially, I wanted to recreate Africa in America. We wanted a place where we could commune with Ifa, the Orisha, and the Irumole in a natural environment where all of humanity could benefit from the great healing power of our ancestors without having to take a plane trip to Nigeria. So, if you would like to visit or donate or cast Ifa, receive Orisha, or receive Ifa initiation, make offerings to the divinities, you can contact us at 323-244-1133. If you'd like to donate, you can donate to our Cash App, and that is at $ESUELEGBA. Or go to our PayPal at alafose@yahoo.com. Or even visit our website, which is www.idinkaifatemple.com. That is www.idinkaifatemple.com. Or follow us on social media at idinkaifatemple.com. We would love to have you. We would love to help you, and help you particularly to see yourself the way that God sees you, to see yourself the way Olodumare sees you, to assist you in finding, following, and fulfilling your destiny. Abolu, Aboye, Aboshishe, Aboto. I am Oluo Fakolade, and thank you. May Olodumare bless us.